A changing of the guard in the ACC? It sure looks like it. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We break down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis of college football. Lock it in right here and let's get to it. Florida State holds off Clemson 31-24. They never led in regulation. They win in overtime in Death Valley, and Florida State looks like the best team in the ACC, if not beyond that. Of course, they had not defeated Clemson since going back all the way to 2014. Clemson has not been a home underdog since at least 2016, and maybe since that Florida State game, depending on your service, since 2014. But yes, FSU, indeed, the better team on this day, made the key plays in the key situations, although it was mighty, mighty close. Let's go to the notes and check it out. Leave your comments down below. Antonio Williams, Cole Turner, two big players on the sideline for Clemson. Turner out for the season. Right out of the gate, Cade Klubnik showed that maybe he is now ready for prime time. This is the best game that Cade Klubnik has played on a big stage against a big opponent with a lot on the line. He has not looked good in performances against Duke this season, last season against the likes of Tennessee, Notre Dame, and Syracuse. But against this Florida State team, 25 of 38 for 283, and many times under duress. And again, on the first drive of the game, he started out with a pass completion to Bo Collins that was beautifully thrown. 3rd and 3, they went with Phil Maffa, and they got stuffed. They were moving the ball down the field through the air, but on 3rd and 3, they went with the dirt raid of Garrett Riley, and Maffa got stuffed, and then we had Florida State taking over from there. Okay, Makuba with a pass breakup on Keon Coleman on a 3rd down, and Keon Coleman, at least on his first opportunity of the day in a big situation, didn't come through, but that would change very quickly. Clemson punted. All right, a little bit later in the game, Clemson on a 4th and 1, the left guard and the left tackle, Will Putnam at center, doing a great job. Maffa gets the first down. Phil Maffa shows that he is a complement of the best degree, with along with Will Shipley, 10 carries for 69 yards. Will Shipley on that same drive had a 17-yard reception, not 17 yards downfield. He took the little swing pass as he does, and he leaped over guys, hopped over guys, broke tackles, did everything he possibly could, as Will Shipley is one of the toughest runners in college football, and he goes for 17. And again, Klubnik looked great, found Tyler Brown, who showed me something today. Turned out to be Klubnik's big play threat in this one. 6 catches, 84 yards for the first down. And then it was the storybook start of the day, at least for Matt Whites. So this is the former Clemson kicker who never actually kicked a field goal in a game. Goes through his eligibility, but still had 1 year left, but there was no reason to come back to Clemson as a place kicker. Got himself a job in Manhattan. You probably heard the story during the broadcast or at some point this week. Well, Clemson's field goal kicking has been suffering. Matt White still has eligibility. So even though he got the big job in Manhattan, Dabo Swinney came a-calling, and White's kicked 7 of 8 in his tryout and then was given the job this week. He converted on the first field goal. All was well for Disney and the Disney type of story, but it would not end well, of course. Jeremiah Trotter had a sack that stopped a Florida State drive. That was a key play as well, as Florida State or Clemson was up in this game 3-0. Tatum Bethune had a holding on Jake Brenningsteele on a 3rd down. Florida State came up with a stop initially, but Bethune called for hold. It was a good call, and that led to the Cade Klubnik touchdown. Clemson would have had to kick the field goal to make it 6-0, but Klubnik got the touchdown after the holding/PI call on Tatum Bethune. 10-0 Clemson. And at this point of the game, Clemson was dominating the game. 27 plays for 155 yards for the Tigers. Florida State, 11 plays, 21 yards. And that was at the 11-minute mark of the second quarter. So we're 19 minutes into this game on the clock, and Clemson has a decided edge at this point. After Marquiston Douglas Drock Florida State was able to convert. It didn't matter because Trey Benson made a great one-handed catch. If you want to see a running back make a catch, twisting his body over the wrong shoulder, or it was actually a back shoulder throw, so not a bad throw by Jordan Travis, but a one-handed catch for 13 yards to convert the first down. And then Jordan Travis with the ailing left shoulder, we saw it hanging for much of the game, was a gamer on 4th and 2 as he converted a tough run. And then later it was Keon Coleman with a touchdown as he shook off R.J. Mickens, and we had a 10-7 ball game. As we go to the second half, we had a 17-14 game. Johnny Wilson went 40 yards on the post play on the first play of the second half. And then a little bit later, the illegal formation snuffed the drive. So the Ryan Fitzgerald-led field goal made it 17-all. Klubnik hit on 10 of 10 consecutive passes during the second and third quarters, continued to light up the Florida State defense. Adam Randall had an exceptional catch on the next drive. Florida State coaches, as it was mentioned during the broadcast, very confident that their corners could match up against the Clemson wide receivers, and the outcome was a bit sketchy, spotty. Certainly wins by both. Now, in this particular drive, Zarius Thomas comes off the corner on the blitz to end the drive. Florida State fans, of course, this was a harbinger of good things to come for you. TJ Parker, nice game for Clemson. He got to show his skills, his explosiveness off the corner as well. The Clemson wide receivers in this game, I got to say this. No, these guys at this point are not giving us glimpses of Justin Ross and T. Higgins and Amari Rogers and DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins and Martavis Bryant and Artavis Scott and on down the line, Mike Williams. But they played one of the best games, probably the best game by a Clemson wide receiver unit that we've seen since 2020 against a good opponent. They were really good. I can't think of a Clemson wide receiver who dropped a pass, and many of these were contested throws that they pulled down and outfought the secondary for Florida State. It was noted during the game, the obvious for Clemson and Florida State fans, but for many of you who love college football but don't focus necessarily on the ACC in these two programs, Florida State, most of its best players, both sides of the ball, Jared Verse, Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Jaden Fisk, all these players are transfers. Clemson has no transfers on the roster right now. That may change at some point. Well, as I noted, the wide receivers in good play for Clemson. Shipley gets a touchdown. He came into the game with no touchdowns in 3 games for Will Shipley. He scored 15 last season, 24-17 Clemson. And now, the breaking point. This is the play of the game. Clemson up 24-17, driving in the red zone or just on the fringe of the red zone to possibly go up 2 scores, whether that be by 14 or by 10. Off the corner, Kalen DeLoach, blitz, strip sack, pops into his arms. He goes all the way, 70, 75 yards, whatever it turned out to be for the touchdown. Phil Maffa missed the blitz pickup. Kalen DeLoach with the play of the game that probably averted a Clemson 2-score lead and made it 24-all. All right. Clemson gets the ball back because they really took it to Jordan Travis on the next series. Got a sack on a 3-man rush by Xavier Thomas to create a 4th and 25. Interesting back and forth between Dabo Swinney and his defensive coordinator, Wes Goodwin. That was noted during the game, and it was seen, him just blasting and ripping Wes Goodman, ironically prior to the sack to make it 4th and 25, and also took a bit of a shot at Wes Goodwin at halftime, commenting about the defense's play at that point and their ability to call the right plays. Could have a bit of a controversy there. Renardo Green with a pass interference on a desperation throw by Klubnik. It was a good call by the officials, but Green really bailed out Clemson on this particular play. It was a 3rd and 8. Klubnik had no chance. He was being rushed, being thrown to the ground, just threw it out there. And again, Renardo Green with the PI kept the drive going. However, a little bit later, down near the goal line, so Clemson basically in the last 5 minutes of the game kept the ball on a methodical drive, well-crafted drive by Garrett Riley. However, 2nd and 11, they go with this crazy double reverse pass that didn't work. The ball was batted down, and then that sets up a 3rd and 11. That was not converted. You got to figure you've got an inexperienced field goal kicker. Big deal, you go up by a field goal on Jordan Travis and company. You got to go for the touchdown. You're down at the 10-yard line. They kicked the field goal. Nope, they missed the field goal as Jonathan Whites pulled it to the left. And that set the stage for Florida State dramatics. Florida State moves the ball down the field. They get stopped on a 4th and 10. And Clemson had a chance, had an opportunity to try to get into long field goal range. They would have used the second guy, the freshman, to kick the long field goal, but they blew it. That was just poor clock management, but it was a bit of a shot in the dark there. They didn't really have a strong opportunity to score, but still had the ball inside the 50 with 10 seconds left. Could have taken one play and then the field goal before overtime. So we go to overtime. It tied at 24. Jordan Travis with a picture-perfect over-the-shoulder pass to Keon Coleman. He goes for the jump ball over Jaden Lucas, who's a fine player, but no match at this stage in his career, to Keon Coleman, 31-24, Florida State. Clemson gets the ball. Will Shipley on the second play of overtime shows what he's made of again and again and again with a 9-yard run to set up a 3rd and a half a yard. They fake it to Will Shipley. They throw that little screen pass out to the left to Adam Randall. He gets thrown for a loss. It's 4th and 2. And then Patrick Payton makes what could be the game-saving play on the slant pattern. He gets into the throwing lane, bats it down, deflects it, and there you go. Florida State is victorious, and you saw the jubilation on the sideline. This is a program that has not defeated Clemson since 2014, and Clemson has owned this conference since then, albeit losing one conference title in 2021, but we know it's all Clemson. Everything's been Clemson. And just like we saw a changing of the guard with Clemson and Deshaun Watson taking over for Florida State in 2015, finally slaying the dragon, getting over the hump, and then leading to the dominance, we may be witnessing the same thing here with Florida State and Clemson. Still not a whole lot of separation between the two teams. Let's keep in mind, Florida State did not go in there and make some kind of unbelievable, incredible statement of dominance. They slipped by in overtime, but credit Mike Norvell and his team. They made the plays when they needed to. Dabo Swinney and his staff, there have to be some questions in play here in terms of the way this game was managed on both sides of the ball. For Florida State, they move on to 4-0. And let's also keep in mind they got Virginia Tech and Syracuse coming up. Those should be easy wins, but then again, Boston College was supposed to be an easy win before a showdown against Duke. Yes, Duke and Florida State in Tallahassee in 3 weeks. Clemson falls to 0-2 in the ACC. They've got games against Syracuse and Wake, and they are going to have to, of course, win out and hope that somebody out there can pick off North Carolina, Miami, and especially Duke, since Duke hasn't lost a game in the ACC, and they've got the tiebreaker over Clemson. It's an uphill struggle for Clemson to get back to the ACC championship game, no doubt. Your thoughts down below on Clemson, Florida State, and the Seminoles rising above to take this one in overtime. Right here at the Voice of College Football.